All right, we're back with another one. Let me get my chair right. Welcome back to the channel. So we're talking about LMS administration today, and a great opportunity, a great way for you to learn if you're new into the industry. What is a learning management system, LMS, and what does it provide to organizations? And it's a very interesting video for me because we're going to learn it through an actual product, which is an LMS. And this is a great product that I just took a quick review at because, unlike many other LMSs out there, it gives you a 30-day free trial. So you can actually get in there, work with the system, and learn as you are applying your skills.
Core praxis.
Now, you know, my name is Alex. I've been an instructional designer, but I actually started as a training delivery specialist, learning facilitator, and then became an instructional designer. In between those years of 10 years of instructional design, I actually, for 3 years, worked as an LMS administrator, as an actual LMS administrator. And
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
So an LMS administrator has to combine the skills of an IT systems administrator and also a learning professional in a way. So it's a way of enabling learning technology in an organization. There are 4 to 5 primary areas that you have to be focusing when dealing with full LMS administration, right? So I'm not talking about an instructional designer just uploading content. I'm talking about managing a learning management system. So when you are the LMS administrator, the first thing obviously you have to be concerned with is user management. So how do users, employees in the organization, are actually going to be registered in the system? Are they going to sign up by themselves? Are you going to be adding them in some way or another through an import file, or the best way, which is through an integration? So that takes us to the next step, which is actually an integration. The integration process, which today is very easy to do, great thanks to these tools like iSpring Learn, because you can just have already the preset API, and all you have to do is, an API is the application programming interface, nerd time. This is the way you connect between 2 different applications out there and talk to each other. So in this situation, you can enable that just with a couple of clicks and some information between those 2 systems. An example of an API that it's very prevalent in what we're talking about is the actual Human Resources Information System API, or the HRS. And that could be that the HR system, in other words, when you work in a company, you have an employee profile. So that employee profile sits in a specific system, but that's not the LMS. So you can actually activate that API. So anytime you add a user or take a user out of the HRS, it happens on the LMS. So now user management is really just automated. There's no need to add anybody manually. This is important when you're dealing with 40,000 people like I did in the past. The next step out of integration, and areas of integration also expand to webinars, to webinar tools like Zoom and many other tools, even Salesforce if we're dealing about sales individuals, or if the company is using Salesforce as an actual HRIS. But the next area, obviously, that is the obvious area to deal with is the content management area. So learning, and we're going to separate that into 2. So there's going to be track learning content, and that it is in the specific delivery methodologies that we're used to, that we have to address, which is face-to-face, which is webinars, and also e-learning providers. So e-learning self-paced content, as you know, as the e-learning courses. The second part of that will be resources, and that's our next area of focus. So resources don't necessarily have to be attached to the course, right? Because anytime you get into a course, then there's usually a registration that happens. It happens automatically in many cases, and that means that as a learner in the system, then that goes into your profile. So if you just wanted to check out some specific item of information, like a job aid or an infographic or something like that, then that's where the knowledge base in iSpring Learn comes into play. And the knowledge base is probably a great addition. It's a great addition they put in there because now you can have content that, doesn't necessarily have to be attached or related to a course, registration or enrollment. Then obviously we're doing a system. I mean, these are essential areas to focus. So we have to talk about analytics. Analytics span in many different ways. You have the learning, tracking the learning content, which just means content that goes into the system. We know how many people register. We know what kind of grades or what kind of scores they get and who taught what and what courses were taken. And this is important, obviously, because of compliance courses, for example. But the other one would be then analytics in terms of users and reactions, and depends on what kind of learning model you want to apply. If you go Kirkpatrick's or if you go CIPP or if you go any other way, you want to track, the qualitative aspects of using the system. And there could be surveys that you send out. There could be other things. So the other part of this, then out of analytics, will be doing your reports and doing reporting not only on courses, but on users, and doing something interesting they put in here that they combine as part of the LMS, and it's usually a separate thing, is performance appraisals. So now you have the ability to combine the learning aspects and functions and also do a 360 performance appraisal, which means that, you can get feedback back and forth from the employee to the boss and the employee supervisor, and from employee to employee, gather that content and have some kind of rating based on competencies. So it's great for performance assessments. All right. So I hope this helped you out. This is a quick one and fast one. And iSpring Learn does a great job of addressing all these areas. So this is something definitely you need to look at. Check the link in the description. We has the link to the free trial, and you can try this for 30 days and let me know how it feels, how it happens, how it works for you in the comments.